Testing, testing. It's working. Okay, guys. Is it okay if I'm sitting while I'm introducing myself? Yeah, the guy in the front row agrees. My name is Kim Roar. Some of you may know me from IRC as Sukum on EFNet, on the Scene NO channel and other channels. I'm going to have a small lecture about ASCII and ASCII Art here at the gathering, and I'm going to tell you how to make it and some common techniques and give a small demonstration. It's going to be much the same as last year, but more into ASCII and ASCII Art and less fluff. You see the picture behind me here on the big screen? This is the logo from the results TXT from last year's entries, all the winners. This was supposed to be at the top, but the guy who was in charge of putting it on the top, he forgot to do it. So at the top of last year's entries, there's nothing. So you guys are the first to actually see it live. I spent 4 hours making this, and he forgot to use it. So I figured I'd reuse it. That's why it says the Gathering 2015 on it, on the way at the bottom there. So I'm going to tell you a little bit what ASCII and ASCII Art is. It's basically the idea of using text and text mode characters to draw pictures, text, and other things. It was quite common in the PBS scene, and is still used in the demo and wear scenes. Any of you guys ever been on a PBS? Yeah, one guy. Any of you ever downloaded wares? Only one guy? No one else? I see some uncomfortable people shifting positions. I take that as a yes. Microsoft has generously actually said that they're going to have full ANSI support in the next generation of Windows. This is something they haven't had since the DOS days. This means that we can have now colored text and all kinds of funky stuff. They're really actually working on making the text mode in Windows better than it used to be. Okay, how to view and make your own art. I recommend these two programs here, Pablo View, or a web browser, if you just want to look at it, and Pablo Draw to make and edit all kinds of art styles and look at it. So if you just want to look at it, go for the viewer. If you want to do everything, go for the drawer. It looks like it does on this picture here with rendering and preview on the side there. There are many types of ASCII and ANSI Art, so I'm going to describe ASCII Art first. It's 96 different characters, black and white, or in this case, black and gray. We have letters, numbers, some basic characters like plus, minus, carré, underline, string, and so on. It's a 7-bit ASCII table, characters 32 to 127 for those of you that are programmers. And the picture you see here, the one that says grand noise, is an example of pure ASCII art. It contains string characters, commas, Ys, the letter L, and some asterisks. And they use the various shapes and various sizes of these characters to form letters. This piece is made by age 7, I think, Grand Noise. And you have also other formats on other computers. Who here has ever used the Commodore 64? A few? Nice. Give it up for the Commodore 64 crowd. They had something called PETSCI, which is a character set on the Commodore 64. And the technique is basically the same. You have blocks of which are actually text, but use these text characters and the various shapes in order to make pictures, like this one. It's a screenshot from some editor called Mark's PETSCI editor. This is something I found on the web earlier today, so I'm not an expert on this. I'm just showing you what's possible. And next machine, can anybody guess which machine I'm going to take next? Anyone ever used something called an Amiga? Yeah, some Amiga users as well. Yeah, I see some nodding heads. On the Amiga, the most common font was the Topaz font. As you can see here, we have the same basic characters, but they look different and they align differently. So sometimes when you see ASCII art, it looks kind of weird and tilted and doesn't quite line up. It could be that it's made for Amiga. So if you have a good viewer, you can just change the font and suddenly it will look much better. If you looked at this one with a PC font, it would look horrible. But with the Amiga font, it's actually quite easy to read. This is from PBS called the Old School Sanctuary. Now, let's get to the good stuff. ASCII Art. ASCII is a sort of a bad name, but that's what it's called. It's traditionally done in something known as code page 437, but you can today use something called Unicode and UTF-8. Color support is coming in the newest Windows, so finally we can have proper, decent text mode art in Windows. Linux has had that forever. And it's the primary form used for BBS and release art. Have you ever seen an NFO file with a games release? I see some nodding heads. If they've looked like gibberish to you, it's because you don't have a correct viewer. If you view an NFO file with the Pablo draw, they will actually look decent. You will see the artworks in there. They're also much easier to read if you need some information in there. They're even used for games, and there are also what you can call styles of art when it comes to ASCII. You have the old school style, which is close to ASCII, but using more characters. You have the new school style, which is using a lot of various characters, and I have the block mode. Block mode mostly uses the characters that are like squares and various types of dithered patterns. I also should mention, because some people asked about it, that's something I've just called this slide technical voodoo. The thing is, when you do ASCII and ASCII art, you have these escape codes. They control the display of your machine, and they're actually text, but they can change the color of the text. So you send an escape character, then the bracket, 31, and you end it with an M. That means from now on, the text should be red. So you can make like one letter red, send a new escape code to make it yellow, then another letter becomes yellow, then you send a new escape code, and you can make it green, and so on, until you like get rainbow colored text or something. And you can also change the background color at the same time. So you can have a red character with a blue background. You simply say 34,44,M. So you just have to know these codes if you're ever going to make your own program that outputs with color. Just know these escape codes. You can make it bright, you can make it blink, you can make it all kinds of stuff. It's actually quite easy if you know what you're doing. You have 16 colors here, and that's the important thing when you're making ASCII art. Because you have the foreground color. The foreground color can be 16 different colors, while the background color can only be 8 different colors. That means that you can have a white S on a black background, but you can't have a black S on a white background, because white isn't a background color. The only background color that's close to white is a gray one. So you have to take that in mind when you're making artworks, because some combinations of colors aren't possible. A good artist knows about this, and he works around the limitations. However, Pablo Draw can handle all this stuff and display it quite easily for you. And since some of you guys are fans of UTF-8, you can easily take artwork from something like Pablo Draw, use this recipe here for just changing things around, and you can convert it to UTF-8. This is what I call a fucking ugly hack, but it works. Who in here knows how to use Vim or VI? Okay, some of you guys? Then you see this is ugly. And it's quite nasty, but it works, it works. And last year, I promised I would try to make a tool for you guys, to make it for you. This year, I promised I might do it one day. It would be nice. I'm lazy. Okay, PBS Art. I saw there were some people here that used built-in board systems. In the old days, you would dial in, you would chat, you would send emails, you would upload files, download files, and play games. And the art had to look good. You wanted people to come back to your board, you wanted them to be impressed by your board, so you put a lot of artwork and hard work into making a good board. This is one called Clutch, I believe, or possibly Dutch, kind of hard to read. So they have like a nice logo, they have some color themes, and they have a lot of decorations on it to make it look good. The next slide I'm going to show you is an example of more what you call new school art. It's the various kinds of pieces and some block mode. As you hear, they have used a lot of basic characters. If you look at the alien in the middle there with the ray gun, it's mostly the string character. But they made outlines by using different characters, and they give him shading by changing the color. So you can use both the shape and the characters you use and the color of it to give it more 3D or more better colors. I especially like the one that says 8, the one with the arrow on, because they only use 2 colors really. It's white and blue on black background. But it looks quite advanced. But if you look closely at it, you will see that it's actually quite simple. But if you look at the art piece as a whole, you easily see the shape. But in reality, it's just a bunch of letters and commas and some other characters. While the ones on the side, all the dragons and other things, are done in what is called block mode. They use characters that cover the entire square. And for completeness sake, here's something called Dwarf Fortress. Anybody in here who has played it? Yeah, some people? That's actually done in ASCII Art and ASCII. They have basically made an entire game which is a sort of simulation of running a dwarf fortress, where all of these characters actually mean something. Some of them are dwarves, some of them are trees. I'm not a good player, but the people that say this is a good game, they say it's pretty awesome. It's very advanced simulation, but it looks like crap for most people's taste. But the underlying simulation behind Dwarf Fortress is really complex, and there is nothing but text mode art to display it. And finally, I'm going to show you some gray and black NFO art, the kind of stuff you usually see with demo scene and wares releases, like they're supposed to look like when you have a proper viewer. I've scaled it down a bit to show you a couple of examples here. You got one from Silk, you got Pirates and something, you got Chemical Reaction on the side there. And you can't really read it very easily because it's scaled down a lot, but these are the kind of stuff that the release groups put with their releases. These are things I found on the web. They're not from actual wares releases. They're quite easy. They have artists that make templates, so the wares groups and other groups just fill in the templates. And here you have a close-up of a piece that uses mostly the block mode. You can see here that you have green and blue and all kinds of colors. But up close it looks a bit messy, but when you view it from afar it's actually quite nice. And the next one I'm going to show you is a picture of a little girl. I've zoomed her in once so you can see more details and see the entire picture as well. They've basically shaded her by using white. They put white as the foreground color, and then a sort of red pinkish as the background color. And green background, white and gray in her hair, and so on. A lot of these artworks you find on many sites are actually from comic books. I don't think this one is, but a lot of it's like common comic book heroes, Spawn, Batman, Superman, the Hulk, and so on. A lot of these are actually rip-offs. But then again, great artists steal, apparently. That's what I said to myself. When it comes to the block mode, there's something you have to take in mind here. You generally have about 80 characters of width. Each character is 16 pixels tall and 8 wide. You can have like 0 filling, 25, 50, 75, or 100% did that for gradients. That means that if you want to create something that's green-blue, you can either take the turquoise color and fill it in completely, or you can take, say, 50% foreground color green and 50% background color blue. Or maybe you can mix, say, green with turquoise if you want that for a nice transition. If you look at this picture, you see a lot of these transitions here, like on a cheek and a nose, that's all white, and then they sort of make it 3D by using transitions with less and less of the foreground color white, while the background color is the pink one. Or if you're into more pixel arty stuff, you can actually think of them as an 80 by 50 square pixel display, because you have characters that are either full on top or full on bottom. So just treat it as you would a low resolution pixel display, and you can make decent art that way. The best stuff is when you're able to mix all kinds of styles. You use some half block characters here, some half top, some half height, half width, and so on. And mix all the styles like it's done on this previous picture here. It contains, if you look at their hair, you will see a lot of square pixels that are brown. That means they have actually a double height like a character, where where the top is brown and the bottom is white. That's one character. But they're using it to draw 2 pixels with them. It's a lot of hacks and tricks, but it works. When it comes to resources, check out ice.org. They're really good. 16 colors, really, really good. The reason it isn't on top is because it's always down. You can download Pablo Draw from that site. And you can also look at Wikipedia and just Google or for tutorials. There are loads of them. Or you could come and ask me if you want to. I'm going to make a really simple font for you guys, and I'm going to need some help from you guys. I'm going to have some suggestions from you. You're going to have to decide the colors and so on, and help me make this piece. There are some sort of rules you can use here. Try to make it look good in black and white. If you have an interesting shape in black and white, adding color and gradients will only make it look better. If you have something that looks ugly in black and white, adding color might make it slightly better, but if it already looks bad, then there's no point in polishing a third. So think in black and white and then try to add colors to make it look better. And like it says here, good art has interesting shapes. You want something that looks like organic, bendy, curvy, or you want it straight and mechanic. You really should invent your own style. Maybe you can imitate some others, but try to develop and evolve and practice. And like it says here, if you have some favorite comics, anybody here will read comics? I don't, but maybe you guys do. Yeah, some of you do. And that's another rule. Try to shade vertically, not horizontally. It generally just looks better because it's easier, and because the characters are very tall. And it's a nice way of doing things. And another thing, think of the light sources. When you are drawing something, you have to think, where's the light coming from? Is it coming from below, from the top? So that when you're making shadows and making things look round, you have to consider, does it come from this angle, from this angle, from this angle? So based on the colors, where the bright spot should be on the letters or a head or something. If we look at the picture here, you see the light on this one comes from above her. So all the bright spots are on the top and the nose and so on. And you can see like under her chin, you see like there's a dark spot there. And finally, I'm going to show you a piece of a logo I made many years ago. It's a simple one, but it has some flaws. I'm going to tell you why it's bad. Because I did this in a hurry, it's not my best piece. I made it for a group called Busing Kupos, which is a Norwegian group. It's a simple black and white logo done in block mode. The B and the O's and the Z's are okay. The I, not so good. But if you look at them, you see that the B has a sort of 3D feel on it because it has like sunk down shadows for the holes in it. But the N looks completely flat, and so does the G. So isolated, the B looks like a different font from the G. I didn't spend enough time thinking this through, basically. I did a poor job there. And if you look at the B, you see the bottom half goes further out, and so does some of the other letters, but not the G. So I was in a hurry. And same with the K. The K is done in mostly the same style as the B, but it's rushed. Not my best piece, but it's okay. And I also fucked up on the big P and the T. The line that crosses the T should have been moved upwards. It's too far down if you look at it. It would have looked better if they were just moved slightly upwards. All these little things, like you see that when I point them out, but immediately you might not have noticed them. But once you do a bit of art and you work and you work, you see these little details and you fix those things. They make it look a lot better. So it's okay. I think I spent about 10 to 15 minutes on this one. So I'm going to try to start up Pablo Draw here. Let's see here. You guys can't see anything. Now here's the problem. I couldn't figure out how to clone this screen. So I can only see it up there, basically. So let's see. Oh. Wow. Okay, it's not quite calibrated to my monitor, I see. And the mouse is lagging. This is odd. Wow, this is going to be hard. So, the first thing you're going to notice, I'm going to have to turn around a bit here and do it like this. The first thing you notice here, at the bottom there, you see like says F1, F2, F3, F4, and so on. This is slightly hard to see, but these are the various graded characters. Let me try here. Oh, this looks pretty awful. Let me see if I can change the resolution of this one a bit. Let's see here. That's odd. Nope, that didn't do it. Unfortunately, I think that's the best I can do on this monitor. It doesn't do any better than this. So I'm going to have to work with it. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, any suggestions for a letter? A. A Norwegian letter A. Okay. For those of you that don't know what the hell an A is, it's one of these. But this doesn't actually exist in this character set. So it's like an A. With the, this is barely legible. So it's like it's a ligand of an A and an E. It's one of those hard Norwegian letters. And thank you for the excellent choice. This is going to be easy. Okay, let's just try a bit here then. Okay. Okay, then we have an A. Let's put on the. Okay. Okay, is this starting to look like an A? Yeah? Okay, I've only used the F4 character, which is basically a full block. So let's try to add it to make it a bit more smooth now. Let's just do a simple one here. We can use like F8 and F7, but these look like this. So maybe we make like something like this, and something like this, and there, 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 yeah. And then we can use these ones, F5 and F6. Oh. Wow. Spooky. I like that one. Good one, seeing guys. Okay, these ones, they're like half height. So maybe let's put a half height in there, like this. And possibly we make them like this. Nah, that wasn't good looking. Maybe we can do like this. No. Oh god, it's really lagging. This is really odd. Okay. Maybe we can have this one a bit more fat, so let's do like this. Okay. Okay, let's just go with this shape. You can see it's an A. It's good enough. It's kind of hard to draw like this, bent like this. We need to pick a color here. Not the A guy. Someone else pick one color. Maybe you guy with a red shirt. Red. Okay. Imaginative. Okay. Okay. Where the hell's the mouse now? Okay. And another color. Andy in the back. Red and yellow. Those don't match very well. Come up with another one. Say purple. Oh, good choice. Okay. Let's just try to add it to be. What do you want the bright spots on it to be? Would you want it from light from the top or the bottom? Any choices? Person with the colored hair there in the middle there? Top or bottom? Top? Okay, left or right? Which side? Right. Okay, so basically the light will be coming from. This is your right from this direction on? Okay, that means the brightest spots on this one should be up here. Okay, let's see. Let's start by making things red. Which kind of purple did you want, Andy? The bright one or the dark one? The dark one. I can see him laughing now because he knew that would be harder. Okay, let's do some shading then. So what we do is we pick this one as the foreground color. I will pick this one as the background color. So if we press F4, it becomes completely purple. F3, somewhat purple. F2 is half and half. F1 is mostly red. Okay. These are the halftones here. You can't have them to be shaded and be half the. So you either have to be completely red or completely purple. So for these ones, we pick then with the black at the background and purple as the foreground. So we do like this. You have to pay attention here so that it makes sense when you are drawing here. So perhaps this one then should be this color, and this one, let's pick red again, the background color, and let's say F3 here, 3 here. So this side should be red then. Okay, so we'll make some of these edges here kind of dark. So we choose this one, which is a bright color, but it's a bright black basically, which most people will call a gray. But technically it's a bright black. So we put those there, like this. And we put foreground color, still the gray one, and then we put the background color as red again, like this. And we do some shading here. This, maybe. This looks actually horrible because some of the pixels are missing. Okay, this one, let's take red and black. Like this. And yeah, and this. Okay, then we need to shade this up a bit. So let's say you said purple and this one. This. See, we need to fix those, so which should be red, I think. But given how the light is coming, maybe it should be actually be purple like this. And we say like this. Really? Ah, there. This looks really odd on the monitor, but on a proper monitor it would look differently than this. This is really hard to make. Okay, so let's say we pick some more background. You select foreground color with one button and the background color with the other button. So it's like first and second, left and right mouse button. Let's say, try to avoid having like, if you have shading, you try to avoid big areas of things with just one color like I have on the A here. So let's try to put in something more interesting there. Okay. So let's try to put on some highlights then. Let's try to put on a highlight there. So what we're going to do is we're going to put, oh, the mouse is damn it. This is the foreground color, and that is the background color. Then we use the F5 and F6 characters, like this. Okay, then we use the same setup basically. I can't actually see the F there. Can you see the F there? There's supposed to be an F there, like, but it just disappears. There is an F there, but yeah, that's why some of the stuff here in the screen just looks weird, because the resolution isn't brilliant for this kind of stuff. Let's try some half shading there. Maybe this. And let's pick this one, maybe like this. Let's call it the day for this one, because it is really hard to make something with an air, I have to admit. I didn't have much time. And the colors look all weird here because of the monitor resolution. These are actually supposed to be like smooth gradients. If I make, say, from black to red, it should be, let's see, let's do it like this first. Background, foreground. Like gray. Then we can mix it up with a bit of red. Let's see, put this one as the foreground, this one as the background. These are actually supposed to be like stippled checkboard patterns, but they don't look like that at all, making it kind of hard to make anything useful. Let's do it like this then. Okay, so go from red to, say, the purple that Andy so generously suggested. These are sort of the shades you have to work with. Let's see. And from red, from this one we can go from this one to this one. I think would be nice. Yeah. If you had a proper display, it would look better. But these are the sort of shades you can use for this one. It's not brilliant, but in my opinion, there are some colors that work well and some that don't work well. I'm a big fan of using, say, green and turquoise. Tends to work better. Then again, we don't have people like Andy that chooses hard colors on purpose. And if you look behind you can see him laughing and smiling, the guy with the glasses. These ones generally produce better looking results. And go from, say, I don't know, I like blue and purple works well as well. And many combinations are good, or some that are horrible. Are there any questions? Yeah? I can't hear you, there's so much noise in here. The function keys, these, like, that's the real beauty of this program. Otherwise, you would have to use a really complicated key sequence, but it's one you can just type it on in the keyboard. Yeah. Yeah. Like this. Yeah, you can mix and use. Down here you have the character set, which F1 is bound to this one, so you get this one and so on. You can also change it to other characters, like this. That's kind of, let me choose some more, God, the mouse is this, and this is the background, so it's easier to see down there. Here you have like line mode art stuff. Let me demonstrate. Let's find the line mode set here. This is so laggy. Here we have the basic lines. So we have the corner up here. Then we have this one is the line, straight line. And then we have the other corner here. So you can just go on drawing. The other also has stuff like, say, like this, edit, cut, copy. You can just paste it, and so on. You have like single lines. These are just single pixel lines. You have double lines as well. Oh, this is here. It's like if you want graphics with, say, like this. They are kind of hard, but see, this is the same character, but it doesn't look like the same character. Make it really hard to draw something because it doesn't look right. Sometimes it gets wider, sometimes it doesn't. And you have the same corners there as well. And this headset is also too small for my head. You also have these characters. It's kind of hard to see, but these are conversion characters from like single line to double lined. And you have all of these sets. Oh, what the hell? Yeah, I use it for, I use quite colorful drawings on my terminal servers. I usually try to make a logo over the letters, like the initials of the server. So if I have a server called my best server, I usually like MBS or something, or maybe I draw something. On some of my private boxes, I have what people might call pornographic pictures, but they are my private boxes and nobody else logs into them, so might as well have something fun to look at while you log in. It's possible to make animations, but that's more of a technically complex thing. The animations are done in the following way. In the old days, you had a modem, and it would only send so and so many characters per second. So the animation is basically you draw the screen with the colors and so on, then you move the cursor, and then you do something where you overdraw the already drawn stuff. So by simply moving the cursor around and having it at the modem speed, you could get an animation. And then if you want the animation to pause, you simply basically had to draw the same thing over and over again before you got to the new frame of the animation. It's a really crude technique, but it was used back in the old days on PBS systems. Nowadays, you can get emulators that do this for you. I think PabloView can emulate the modem. I think ASCII View can emulate the modem if you want to. So you can see how these would have looked if you were using them on what you can call a more modem-like display. Hmm? Yeah, these programs emulate the modem speed for you. Yeah, you could. But if you want to make animations, just program it yourself, basically. Just to make a small program that just output something to the screen. That's the best way, I think. Then you can get exactly the speed you want, the colors you want, and so on. There are actually people that make demos in text mode. You can go on the internet and look for text mode demos and find really interesting things done in pure text mode. Fire effects, 3D effects, tunnels, fireworks, flames. It's really quite interesting what you can do. But it helps to have a proper monitor, trust me. This is pretty ridiculous. One nice thing that this program has is multiplayer support. You can set it up as a client server, and you have your friends join in on your drawing, and they can draw on the same screen together with you. So you can sit there with a friend, and you can work on like one letter, your friend can work on something, a picture further down, and so on. And there are servers on the internet where they use this, and they may have a huge collages that all kinds of people just connect on, edit, add, fix, and so on, and they keep improving on the picture. And they have this sort of like a social experiment that runs for, say, 1 month, and they see after 1 month of everybody being able to log on and just add this artwork, what does it look like? What have people added? Much in the way that the graffiti scene works, where people overdraw and they change the images and so on. It's always changing. There's a lot of sort of crossover between the graffiti way of doing things and the ASCII and ASCII Art way of doing things. Any more questions? Not even you, Andy. You seem to be pondering something. I can't actually hear you. No questions. Okay. Let's go back to the presentation then, and to remind you guys. For some reason it looks better here, but that's because I have zoomed it in. This is actually enlarged. That's why it doesn't look quite as screwed up as the others did. But this is basically a technique I used where if you look at the way these lines are leveled, it's an underscore, and then a dot, then a comma, then the one corner I showed you, then an asterisk, then a percentage sign, then a hashtag, then a line, then another type of line. And I combine all these to make a smooth gradient. Just look at other pictures and see what kind of gradients they use, and just copy their gradients. Use fewer or more characters depending on how steep you want the lines to be. But there are some lines that work better and some things that don't work at all. You can make really smooth gradients like that going down there, but you can't make it something that's really steep, really, because there are very few characters that are have more than just a line. So different heights are easy to find, but different widths are really hard. That's why if you look at the bottom side there, where it's slightly steeper, where I want to create a gradient with the underside there, I have much fewer characters to work with. So the lines on the underside are much poorer looking than the ones on the top. So I sort of made a picture where this doesn't really show up that much, but you can see here that the line on the top is better looking than the line under on the G there. And if you look closely, they're not actually tilted exactly the same way either. But some of these things are pretty much impossible to get right because you only have a limited set of characters. Just gotta fudge it and work it, and don't sweat about the small detail. Just make it look decent. And I should show you the slide where I have these. Here, these ones. If I were you guys, go to your computers when you're done here. Go check out ASCII to see how this is actually supposed to look like. Due to the network being down, I can't actually show you anything. You could go to 16colors.net. They have a sort of a layout that's ANSI based. It looks like it's made with ASCII Art. Really nice looking site, but it's usually down. Download Pablo Draw or check out on the Wikipedia. Just use Google. There's tons of information about this. And if you have some questions afterwards, you can ask me about it. I'm happy to answer your questions. I think that's about it. Any further questions before we finish it off? No? Good luck with your drawings then.